If you've ever had the good fortune of getting up close to a rare Ferrari, then like me, you've probably pressed your nose up against the glass and looked inside at the gorgeous interior. Chances are it's been restored somewhere like this. Welcome back to Collecting Cars, and today I'm at O'Rourke's looking at the fine art of coach trimming. Interiors play such a big role in our experience of a car. Some are a thing of beauty and others just elicit memories of a time perhaps best forgotten. Many of the most loved cars have very unique and instantly recognisable interiors, but they all evoke emotions that stick with us. Now today we're fortunate enough to have both a Lamborghini Countach and a Ferrari Daytona in the workshop, and we'll talk a little bit more about both of these cars later on. But before we do, I want to take a look around the workshop and check out some of the treasures hidden in the archives here at O'Rourke. So in here is a real treasure trove. Each one of these boxes contains the part original interiors to things like a 250 GTE, a Ferrari Lusso, a 275 GTS, 206 Dino, a Mura, a California short wheelbase, a Gullwing 300 SL, a Daytona, another Daytona, and a 250 short wheelbase, which we're going to pull out and have a look at. So AJ, I've rifled through your storeroom and pulled out this box with the 250 short wheelbase interior parts in it. Tell me a little bit about how you come by these and why you have them.
So this particular short wheelbase interior, a customer very kindly donated it. We trimmed his car a number of years ago. He sold the car, found it in his garage, phoned us up, said, would you like it? So here we are. But it's great, you know, we've now got references of the materials, how it was done. So for example, we've got the luggage straps here, and you can see they were done on a really small sewing machine, tiny little stitches.
Really fine, isn't it?
Close to the edge. You can see the type of stud they used, sort of how it was finished off.
So this enables you to keep absolutely true to the originality of the car and understand where leather versus vinyl were used, for example.
Correct, yes. So in this particular car, Ferrari obviously got a really good match on the vinyl and the leather. So in areas like this, which would have been the back shelf, the sort of diamond quilted area, they've used a vinyl.
Yep.
But yet the handbrake gaiter, which is a bit more of a touch part of the car, they've used leather. So you can see, you know, there's a nice leather part compared to the vinyl part.
And down here we've got some handbrake handles.
So that's a handbrake handle that's found on many Ferrari models, later than say a 250 short wheelbase, kind of Daytonas and onwards, that sort of era. They commonly break, they split. So we managed to obtain an original, and we had it 3D scanned. And then from that, we reverse engineered it in CAD and then had the part you're holding 3D printed. From that part, we took a silicone mold, and now we can cast new parts in plastic, again, as close to the original as they would have been. And yeah, they're available to buy.
Fantastic. That's a great example of using new technology like 3D printing. And it can't go unnoticed that just above our heads we've got a number of frames hanging up here, some more easily recognisable than others. I mean, right over on the right hand side here, I mean, that's obvious to me that that's an F40, but if we go to the other end, I'm going to hazard a guess and say 250, 275?
250 is correct. It's out of a California Spider.
Right, and then what have we got here? Just the second one.
So then that's 275 GTB, also a 250 Lusso.
Yes.
250 short wheelbase, Daytona, DB4 Zagato, and then we've got some older frames that we've either used for reference or we've purchased.
And so do you have any sort of originals that you use as the basis for those then?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So some of the ones on the right hand side have been used as a basis. They're all actually damaged in some way or another, and they've been replaced, and then the customer said, oh, we'll just bin it. Yeah. So we've just retained it as a reference piece, really.
Yeah,
but yeah, at some point we've had access to an original of all of these frames to make a copy.
To use as a template.
Exactly that.
Wonderful. Okay, so we can't move away from here without talking about these two, because we've got two original Daytona seat centers here, and other than being obviously beautiful and iconic, they do look very intricate to put together. Probably one of the more difficult ones you have to do.
Yeah, it's definitely one of Ferrari's more difficult designs. They are tricky to put together and to get them looking right and nice. But you know, the guys have got a lot of experience. We've got some great reference here to see how it was all put together. But rather than us talking about that, why don't we take you downstairs and get you having a go at trimming?
I'd love to give it a go. Let's do it. Let's go downstairs.
Let's go downstairs.
Right, Jake, so you're the man who's been tasked with teaching me how to do a little bit of trimming. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a couple of bits of carpet trimming. Jake's going to show me how it's done. I'm going to then have a go, and then we'll compare the two at the end. So tell me what I have to do first of all, Jake.
So we're going to start off with a little bit of carpet binding. Probably one of the first things you learn as a trimmer, sort of when you're first starting. Good thing to get going on. This is what we're aiming for. So sort of wrapping the vinyl around the edge of the carpet.
Yep.
Nice sort of stitch line. So we're going to start off with this piece. You've got to prep the edges first, so we've got to cut the edge off at 45 degree.
Yep.
All the way around the edge. Start off with your scissors, nice 45 degree angle, and then sort of just evenly work your way along. That's it, just taking the top edge off.
Look at that.
There we go, it's a natural.
Very pro. How's that looking? Am I going to get a job?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, keep it like that first bit and you'll be good. So that's what we're kind of aiming for.
Oh yeah. there's quite a difference between mine and the pro. All right, what's the next bit? We're going to go over to the sewing machine and then stitch the leather.
That's where we stitch the vinyl around the edge for you.
Okay.
There we go.
I mean, there's just literally no margin for error here. It's so close. Right, okay, time to check out my finished product against Jake. So what do you think of the effort I've made here?
Yeah, I mean, first attempt, we're definitely getting the hang of it the further we go along with it.
I had a few problems sort of in the midsection here where I lost the stitching.
Lost the edge of your binding there.
And I think it's probably because I was a bit overzealous with the scissors and the cutting down the side here. I haven't managed quite to get the vinyl over to get the stitching onto it.
There we go.
But the corner's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, fairly good looking corner there. So yeah, not a bad attempt for your first go. I think we should go and see what the boss thinks.
All right, let's go and have a chat with O'Rourke. O'Rourke, I've bought you my first bit of trimming. It's like coming to the headmaster's office and showing him
prepared
your
for a poly.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, for your first go ever, I think you've really captured the essence of what we're all about as a team. It looks original.
Original.
Yeah, but I can appreciate the difficulty in this, and what you've done's good sterling effort.
Well, if nothing else, I certainly highlight how difficult it is actually to become a master coat trimmer. Certainly you won't be doing that in 5 minutes, that's for sure.
Proper job. I'll take that home tonight and show my mum and tell her I did that. Or we can put it on our website with your blessing.
Or I'll make a coaster of it and we can auction it off for charity.
That would do that.
Let's get into a chat, and I wanted to ask you first and foremost, sort of, what was the sort of moment for you that you sort of discovered working with leather, and what was that moment that got you into working with it?
Yeah, Lorenzo, who's behind you, his father taught me how to trim, Nick Archusa. He smelt good, he looked good. Doesn't anymore, but at the time he was
a bit of a man crush.
Yeah, he was, yeah. And with leather, the smells are unrivaled, so I kind of naturally levitated towards that.
Yeah, but I suppose the great satisfaction comes when you see one of your cars at the concourse winning an award, and you get to see it again, and people like myself admiring them at the shows. Yeah. And you're not just looking at the trimming; you're also sort of creating your own parts as well. So, what are some of the projects that you've worked on which you find sort of particularly rewarding, where you've had to machine something of your own to fit into that car?
That Lancia is a great example. It's come here without an interior. So we'll have a meeting with the customer from colours of hides to seat shape specs. Then we'll make the complete interior from seat frames, seat runners, rubber mouldings, floor mats, all made in-house. Yeah. And to see a project like that go through the shop, just the before and after photograph, or in 2 years' time to see it on a concourse field somewhere.
Yeah, it must feel amazing.
Yeah, totally amazing. Really, really, really rewarding.
You've got a number of different hides hanging up in the background. We've got some here. Are there consistencies across manufacturers in terms of the thicknesses of
Yeah,
hides,
there's
or-
consistencies and differences as well.
Yeah.
So on my bench now, this is a Connolly hide, which predominantly on the old cars is a tan hide, surface painted.
Yeah.
So you can see the veg tan behind it, and this one is dyed right through.
Yeah.
So for different reasons, you can't sort of scratch through that one. Years of wear will start showing the tan through. So it can make a nice period effect, depending on what you're after.
Depending what you do.
And all over this hide, like you can see the different grains and
Yes.
textures. So
you see different sort of stretch marks in.
sure. So if you were doing the side of a seat which has different bits stitched together, you wouldn't cut it from this part and that part and put them both together, because it would look black and white.
Yeah.
And then we use these parts of the leather maybe on the backs of the seats, on carpet binding, or where it's more grainy. Generally, it's more hairier on the back.
Yeah.
And
would that what part of the animal would that tend to be? Would that
I
sort
would
of
say
round
around the tummy and the belly. You can see how grainy it is there.
Yeah.
But then you've got natural. Just there, that's the head of the cow. You can see the natural lines here, just the same as you have wrinkles on the back of your neck. And you can, these are great hides, what Connolly did originally, because they're just surface painted. They don't have any fillers in the scars. And generally what you see is what you get. With modern leathers now, you can't see the scars because they put tiny fillers in and paint over them. So when you think you've got a good hide, you start stretching it about on the job.
Yeah.
And all these little scars and imperfections come to life.
Okay.
Where the aroma of Jonathan Connolly's hides are just unmatchable.
Yeah. So on the back is actually interesting there. You can see slight there's a greater sort of thickness
Yeah,
here.
that's
and
getting
then-
more stretchier there.
Yeah. So would that be used across the dashboard, for example?
Yeah,
or
if you need that extra stretch around a binnacle or a gear stick knob around the back of a seat,
Yeah.
because these grains, that does stretch out.
Yeah.
So to look like there's no grain there at all.
If you're seeing these cars all the time, sort of what sort of piques and keeps you interested? Is it more about the individual and their requests that they come in with, or is it about the challenges that you might find with that particular car?
I think working with a great team, number one, and having them to work on a car that wins concours awards, passing on my knowledge to them, and also learning new bits all the time.
So are people asking and trimming cars in the same way that they would have done back in the 70s and 80s?
Totally different fashion now. In the 70s and 80s, we didn't have the communication to go down to Italy. Well, I didn't, and understand the lingo. So we were much more trimming them in the materials that were offhand in the day. So we were using English manufacturers, English vinyls, where the stipple grain was very slightly different to the Italians. We weren't being faithful. The customer didn't mind.
Yeah.
It was what was available.
So the likes of something like a Dino would come to you that the vinyls have been taken out and some leathers put in.
Totally,
But now you're kind of flipping that and
going back to originality, or the old days, if we wanted a tan carpet, there may have only been one available, and it might not have been a tan, it might have been a brown.
Right.
And there was those kinds of things. Now we've got all the colours
full
from
scope of whatever you
doing
want to put in
25, 30 years of research and meeting the people. It's come a full circle. So now we can faithfully say we can do these cast original.
Okay, so that feels like a good point for us to go and have a quick look at what we've got behind us here. So let's have a look at the Daytona and the Countach and see what you're doing with both of these cars.
Sure. The tan I've just shown you on the bench, this car is going back to that originally.
Yeah.
So it was trimmed in probably the 90s, again, with a leather that either the middle customer spec'd or something that they could get quite easily. So we're going back to the original with Italian wool carpets, that lovely tan. The customer who owns this is very interested in keeping what is original in the car. So we've taken the original arches out, the foam had perished and disintegrated.
Right.
So we refoamed them, cleaned the old covers up, and we've managed to stick them back down. It would have been very easy for us, a lot easier, to just put new in.
Yeah.
So the seal panels, the front quarters, all the black vinyl is just going to be treated, looked after and loved, put back in the car. So he's having new carpets, door panels and seats and centre console. So a nice freshen up, it's going to smell great as well.
I bet it will, yeah.
And
fantastic.
the Countach is an interesting car because I've worked on a few of these before, but it's just a lovely cabin to sort of exercise trim skills, because there's a lot of 90-degree corners.
Yes, there are, so boxy in there, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's great. Barry, who's trimming this, has come from a background of doing old cars, Bentleys and old Rolls Royces. So it's a good challenge and giving him a good stretch. It's quite a tricky interior to do because it's kind of trimmed off the job, where some cars are trimmed, the cars are actually trimmed and laid on. When this is kind of brought off the job, everything's got to line up. And the panel gaps weren't great in the old days, so where bits met, you could see daylight through them. Yeah. So we want to make this better than it was, but still obviously keep him faithful. Yeah. I love when customers are a bit brave, because in the 80s it was all very much tan interiors, black interiors,
and white.
Yeah, I'm done with that. And when they come up with these wacky colours, greens, oranges, some of the beautiful blues, that makes our job interesting. And
yes, of course. You're seeing something different as well.
Yeah, haven't had anyone doing any zebra yet, so I'm hoping.
Well, when it's finished.
One of your Ferraris, James, we could do that.
Yeah, well, I could hope, can't I? When it's finished, I'd love to see some photos.
Yeah, totally.
We can put those up as well.
That'd be great.
It's going to look great.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for showing us both those.
It was my absolute pleasure. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, pleasure. Cheers. Really hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember, if you're looking to buy or sell a collectible car, head over to collectingcars.com, and for more content like this, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. Thanks for watching and see you soon.